Rachel Zegler's live-action Snow White remake has struggled so badly at the box office that some call it one of Disney's biggest letdowns in recent memory. Adding to the drama, the leading actress's own words might have helped drive away the very audiences Disney hoped to attract. Hello, and welcome to Celebrity Limelight. Today, we're looking at the controversy surrounding Disney's live-action Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, and the reasons it fell short of expectations. From disappointing ticket sales to Publix relations missteps, there's a lot to unpack. So let's dive into the facts, the speculation, and where this leaves Rachel Zegler, as well as Disney's strategy for classic remakes. When a Disney live-action remake hits theaters, it usually stirs excitement among audiences and investors alike. Past examples, like Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, have raked in hundreds of millions of dollars. However, the new Snow White earned around $77 million domestically and just under $170 million worldwide, significantly lower than what you'd expect for a classic Disney property. Considering its presumably large budget and marketing costs, the film appears to have flopped financially, and critics and fans alike noticed this shortfall almost immediately, sparking discussions about what went wrong. In Disney's broader history, Snow White was the film that launched the studio into feature-length animation. Because this character helped define Disney's entire legacy, many assumed a live-action remake would be a guaranteed success. Yet real-time box office receipts told a different story. Industry watchers often say that a domestic total under $100 million is a major red flag for a project of this scale. It suggests that both the hype and the subsequent word of mouth simply weren't enough to keep people interested. A major talking point here is the film's lead actress, Rachel Zegler. Despite her strong singing voice and an early breakout in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, she faced a wave of criticism for remarks she made about the classic Snow White tale. Many longtime Disney fans felt she was dismissive or even condescending toward the original 1937 film. Interviews circulated in which she discussed how the new Snow White would modernize or correct certain perceived outdated elements. Some viewers perceived these statements as disrespectful. They argued that if the lead star doesn't appreciate the source material, the adaptation might stray too far from what fans love about the original. This tension between updating a classic for modern audiences and preserving its original charm became a flashpoint. Consequently, people either skipped the movie out of frustration or simply lost interest, deciding their nostalgia wasn't safe in this remake's hands. As box office numbers remained disappointingly low, several media outlets tried to refocus the narrative. Headlines highlighted how Snow White made it onto top 40 highest-grossing musicals, or how it remained a personal financial peak for Zegler's short film career. On the surface, these statements might seem encouraging, but critics say such coverage feels like damage control, a way to find any possible silver lining for an underperforming movie. Moreover, accusations of racism and misogyny floated around. Some suggested audiences stayed away because they didn't like Zegler's ethnicity in a traditionally white role. Others claimed a female-led remake faced extra scrutiny or backlash. However, a broad consensus emerged that if Snow White had truly captured hearts, viewers would have shown up regardless of such controversies. Many pointed instead to poor marketing, mixed messaging, and off-putting comments as stronger explanations for the movie's failure. Throughout the film's theatrical run, it faced headwinds from more attractive titles. One vocal commentator mockingly labeled the competing movie Minecraft, suggesting it completely overshadowed Snow White among family audiences. While the identity of that rival film was not clearly specified, it was widely believed to appeal to the same general demographic. Timing in Hollywood can make or break a film. If a strong buzzworthy title launches around the same date, less compelling movies quickly lose momentum. Word of mouth also plays a key role. Viewers who saw Snow White often shared lukewarm reviews, while fans of the competing film raved about it. This disparity likely cost Snow White repeat business, preventing it from building up much-needed box office traction. In discussions about the film's release, some pointed out Disney's common practice of negotiating strict terms with theaters. These contracts can require theaters to keep the film on a set number of screens for a fixed duration, even if attendance plummets. Under normal circumstances, say for a Marvel blockbuster, this strategy works to keep the movie widely available as demand peaks. But with Snow White's slow performance, theaters had large blocks of empty seats they couldn't fill. With more popular movies, many theaters had to wait until contractual windows ended before they could reduce Snow White's showtimes. During that period, audiences gravitated toward other options, compounding the perception that Snow White was a non-starter. By the time theaters were free to adjust their schedules, the film had lost whatever small momentum it had during its opening week. Another dramatic element emerged when paparazzi photos showed Rachel Zegler walking her dog, looking unhappy or stressed. These images spurred speculation that she might regret certain statements or feel anxious about the film's mounting backlash. While any public figure can appear serious or withdrawn simply because of a bad day, observers used these photos as proof that she might be rethinking how she approached the project. Hollywood, particularly in the age of social media, often magnifies celebrities' smallest expressions. When controversy surrounds a movie, fans and critics tend to analyze every gesture or comment. In Zegler's case, a narrative developed. Did she realize too late that targeting the original story or insulting its fans could undermine the film's success? Despite the film's financial disappointment, Rachel Zegler continues to enjoy Hollywood's support in some circles. She was reportedly invited to the Met Gala, a coveted event reserved for high-profile or up-and-coming names in fashion, music, and film. This is seen by some as a clear sign that industry insiders still back her. Hollywood has a track record of offering second chances when a star shows potential, even if they stumble early on. Some voices believe she might pivot to Broadway or other singing-centric roles, showcasing her clear talent while avoiding the intense scrutiny that comes with remaking a beloved property. Others assume she'll stay in film, but might pursue more careful media training and better communication strategies. After all, the ability to navigate interviews and social media carefully is vital for leading actors and actresses. Disney, meanwhile, will need to reflect on how Snow White's performance fits into its broader remake strategy. Nostalgic audiences typically greet Disney's reimagined classics with open arms, which is why so many have thrived. Yet the low turnout here indicates that goodwill can be eroded if fans feel the adaptation disrespects the original, has weak marketing, or suffers from contradictory creative visions. Remakes usually bank on familiarity, but if the people involved openly criticize or significantly alter beloved elements of the story, it can spark pushback. Disney faces a balancing act, modernizing its catalog to stay relevant without alienating fans who cherish the classics. Failure to strike this balance likely cost Snow White the essential momentum it needed upon release. While some articles cling to metrics like top 40 musicals, the broader reality is that Snow White's box office numbers remain subpar for a studio of Disney's caliber. If ticket revenue doesn't at least match the budget and marketing expenses, the film is considered a financial disappointment, even if streaming or video on-demand sales later help recoup some costs. The initial theatrical performance is usually what shapes a film's reputation. it's possible that Snow White could find a niche audience later on, in the same way certain cult classics do. But for the moment, the general consensus is that it fell short of the studio's ambitions. The controversy around Rachel Zegler's remarks and the constant attempts to control the narrative have only kept the film in a negative spotlight. As it stands, Snow White is a telling case study of how even a powerhouse like Disney can struggle if key elements fail to connect with fans. Controversial interviews, poor timing, and stiff competition can all undercut a film's prospects. Though Rachel Zegler's future in Hollywood still looks salvageable, given her talent and connections, the film itself remains firmly in flop territory. In the end, the saga serves as a reminder that beloved properties demand respect and thoughtful updates. The public has grown more vocal, and negative word of mouth can spread at lightning speed. Perhaps both Disney and its stars will take these lessons to heart, refining their approach the next time a famous story is retold for modern audiences.